morning. I know, it's tough. We get everybody here, and we all know each other, and we get to talking to each other, and we're having a great breakfast. But I wanted to get us started because I'm really excited about today to be able to sit there and honor our colleagues. Welcome to the Kentucky Historical Society's 2026 Kentucky History Awards, and to our kickoff for Kentucky History Day, which is also our kickoff, or we kind of started doing it already, for Kentucky History Month. I'm Scott Alvey, the Executive Director of the Kentucky Historical Society, and I'm hoping that you're as excited as I am to be here today amongst our distinguished group of colleagues who share this same passion about telling Kentucky's fascinating and complex past. Like many of you, we at the Kentucky Historical Society are very focused on commemorating our nation's 250th anniversary. Several years ago, when we were doing statewide listening sessions, trying to get some ideas about what themes would resonate with everybody, what would resonate all through Kentucky, and what would also recognize our local communities, someone posed to me the question, Scott, aren't we just all talking about all of Kentucky history? And I said, yeah, kind of in a way, yes, we are. But if we all agree that the founding of our nation is about these democratic principles, that I said democratic experiment, then that makes Kentucky the laboratory to which that experiment plays out. These awards serve as a showcase for the significance and the relevance of history, shedding light on the Commonwealth's identities and drawing attention to both our shared and unique experiences as Kentuckians. Today's recipients exemplify how the past shapes the present, and by recognizing important individuals, places, and events across the Commonwealth, they are preserving and enriching Kentucky's history and culture. The individuals and organizations being recognized today, including authors, historians, researchers, museums, and local history organizations, play a vital role in sharing our local and state history. Their dedication makes them key contributors. Boy, I can't get my words out today. Their dedication makes them key contributors to the vibrant cultural landscape that makes their communities special. We are privileged to honor and celebrate their remarkable contributions today. And much like you, we cannot do our work with the generous support of others. I invite you to consider supporting the Kentucky Historical Society by joining as a member. This is my little caveat to this. If you know the history of the Historical Society, founded in 1836, the membership aspect of this isn't about for us to raise money. It's about for us to be able to join this group of colleagues and people that are so passionate about supporting Kentucky history that they wanted to form a society to make sure that history was both preserved, collected, and most importantly, shared with everybody else. So I encourage you, I think we have some QR codes on the tables there. If you would consider joining and becoming a member, and that does nothing more than helps bring you into our fellowship here, and also allows you to get all of our information about not just the history work that we're doing, but the history work that's happening across the Commonwealth. I also want to take a little pause because when we do this history award, and I'm really honored that we get to sit here and celebrate you, but if you wouldn't mind, giving my team a round of applause for putting on today. And you know, I really should be better at this, but you know, they've been working really hard for quite some time, but particularly in the past year. I think this will be the biggest Kentucky History Day that we've been able to pull off. We're also working really hard to get ready for the July 4th celebration coming up. And they've been crisscrossing the Commonwealth, doing all kinds of things like Liberty Tree plantings and other 250 things, the KET documentaries that we're going to see this afternoon. So I really appreciate all the work that they're doing. I'd also want to thank our Kentucky History Awards breakfast event sponsors, Stewart Home and School, for helping us recognize the important work happening across the state. I believe, I don't know, do we have somebody from Stewart Home and School? If not, Kathy Golightly-Standers, the director of our foundation, will share a few remarks. Thank you all for being here today.
Good morning. I just want to say a word of welcome on behalf of the Stewart family and the Stewart Home and School. Obviously, the Stewart family, the Holman School are generous sponsors of today's breakfast, but more importantly, they are passionate about Kentucky history and generous and longtime supporters of the work and the mission of the Kentucky Historical Society. And we are profoundly grateful to them, and on their behalf, welcome each of you here this morning. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Kathy. Hello, everyone. I am Leah Craig, Deputy Director of the Kentucky Historical Society. I'm going to kind of go over some housekeeping things. Award winners, we will take photographs as you receive your award. After receiving your award and having your photo taken, please return to your seat. Following the conclusion of today's ceremony, please stay in this room for a big group photograph. Audience, please hold your applause until the speaker has finished presenting the award. To begin, I'd like to invite Sheila Mason, KHS Governing Board President, to assist with handing out the awards, along with Scott Alvey, who I've already met, and Dana Zingo, Director of Marketing and Communications, who will also assist. If you all come and be ready to help. And then Stuart Sanders, Director of Research and Publications, will kick us off by recognizing the Local History Trust Fund recipients. Thank you, Stuart.
Thanks. Good morning. The Kentucky Local History Trust Fund is designed to build stronger museums and local history museums across the Commonwealth. Grants provided by the Kentucky Local History Trust Fund assist museums and history-related organizations with their long-term growth, sustainability, and development. Kentuckians can support local history by designating part of their state income tax refund to the Kentucky Local History Trust Fund through line 38F. The fund has provided more than $162,000 in grants to nearly $10,000 across history organizations. Projects consist of preservation projects, American Association for State and Local History STEP certifications, digitization projects, exhibit upgrades, and more. Recipients, please wait around after this event and we'll do a group photo with you all, but I'm pleased to really announce those recipients of these Local History Trust Fund grants, which are also mentioned in your program today. Mary Breckenridge's Wendover, Liberty Hall Historic Site, the Sisters of Loretto, Marion County Historical Society, Allen County Historical Society, the Bardstown Historic Development Corporation, Powell County Public Library, Oldham County History Center, the Lincoln Museum, Simpson County Historical Society, Adair Columbia Tourism Commission, and the Monroe County Historical and Genealogical Society, Incorporated. If you could please join me in congratulating the 2025 Local History Trust Fund recipients. I'm now happy to turn it over to Leah Craig.
Thank you, Stuart. The Gilder Lehrman Institute of American History is one of the nation's leading organizations dedicated to K-12 American history education. Each year, it honors one K-12 teacher from every state. This year, we present Amanda Smith from Model Laboratory School in Richmond the 2025 Gilder Lehrman Kentucky History Teacher of the Year Award. Amanda holds a Bachelor of Science degree in middle school education, specializing in history and mathematics, and a master's in teacher leadership. With 14 years of experience in both public and private educational environments, she is currently a full-time substitute teacher at Model Laboratory School in Richmond, Kentucky. Smith was instrumental in introducing the New Covenant Christian Academy to the National History Day program and was honored as the NHD Junior Division Teacher of the Year for Kentucky in 2021, later becoming a finalist for the esteemed Patricia Baring National Award. Congratulations, Amanda. Please come on up. student. Next, we honor outstanding history-related and educational projects from local history organizations, historians, museums, and communities across Kentucky. The projects were undertaken during the calendar year 2025. This award has been divided into 4 categories based on an organization's budget. Class A organizations are operating budgets with less than $50,000 per year, with Class B, C, and D moving up from there. These awards showcase exceptional exhibits, programming, special projects, and publications. Through this work, our award winners have demonstrated extraordinary value to their communities by engaging the public through history and education. Next, I'd like to introduce Tommy Druin, KHS Governing Board member, who will present the General Awards History Projects category.
Good morning. Thank you, Leah. I'm going to move this a little bit. I'm always surprised when Scott or Leah ask me to do this because they know I go off script just slightly. I'm probably scaring them to death right now. But what I'll say, just start out with, I think we all know Kentucky is a very diverse state. Northern Kentucky, Eastern Kentucky, Western Kentucky, all look very different. But there's one thing I've learned through my life and that unifies Kentuckians is the love of a good biscuit. So I appreciate the breakfast, and I just wanted to say thank you to the state parks folks for breakfast, and I think they deserve a round of applause. With that, I'll go back on script. So, for History Projects Class A, we are awarding the Friends of Maple Grove Cemetery for Learn from the Past to Build a Better Future. Maple Grove Cemetery was officially established in 1901 and it is the largest African American cemetery in Richmond, Kentucky. There are over 1,700 gravestones and many unidentified grave sites in the cemetery. The Learn from the Past to Build a Better Future project erected a series of interpretive markers and as a lasting tribute to the African Americans of Richmond and Madison County and their progress. These markers chronicle the history of the Richmond African American community from Africa in 1526 to Kentucky in 2025. The interpretive markers were dedicated on November 1st, 2025 with members of the community present. The project offers people of all ages the opportunity to explore an often overlooked section of Richmond and Madison County history and stand as a lasting tribute to these people and their progress from Africa to Kentucky. Congratulations, and I would ask them to come forward for the presentation and photo.
Congratulations.
It's somebody congratulating you.
You're on stage.
Let's be honest, it's somebody trying to offer you an extended car warranty. All right, for History Project Class B, we award Joanna Hay for Stories from the Balcony. Joanna grew up in Louisville and envisioned this documentary after relocating to Frankfort, Kentucky and hearing about the segregated history of the Grand Theater during the era of Jim Crow segregation. Over the past 20 years, Joanna partnered with local Frankfort community members to collect oral history interviews with support from the Kentucky Oral History Commission, and in 2025 produced and edited a 47-minute-long feature documentary film that previewed at the Grand Theater to a standing room only crowd of 500 people. Hearing stories of the past from the people who lived it is of vital importance for the people of today who do not have those same lived experiences. Joanna's film is also used by educators to teach about the civil rights era in the classroom and was recently recognized as the best documentary for 2026 by the London Independent Film Awards. I don't know if that's London, Kentucky or London, England. It sounds impressive either way. Congratulations. I would ask Joanna to come up forward for the presentation and photo. Maybe next year you can win London, Kentucky then. Excuse me. For History Projects Class C, we award the Mary Todd Lincoln House for Lexington 250 celebration projects. In 2025, the Mary Todd Lincoln House demonstrated outstanding commitment to excellence in community through its activities celebrating the 250th anniversary of the founding of Lexington. A new traveling exhibit interpreting the history of Lexington during Mary Todd's life visited 8 local community venues. A children's activity booklet was developed with 8,000 copies printed for free distribution. An innovative museum interactive Guess the Scent was built centered around exploring the Todd home through smell. Nothing like Guess the Scent of the 19th century. That's fun. Ooh. And a series of programs, including free community days, were held. The varied projects primarily focused on Lexington during Mary Todd Lincoln's youth, 1818 to 1839, and were based on strong historical research. Each was designed to raise the visibility of history, serve the local Lexington audience, and minimize financial barriers to access. Congratulations, and we'd ask you to come forward for the presentation and photo. And for the History Projects Class D, we present the Fraser, Kentucky History Museum for their Love and Marriage exhibit. Love and Marriage at the Fraser History Museum details the history of 150 years of courtship, dating, and marriage in Kentucky. It features interactive displays and more than 60 wedding dresses and suits. Structured after the famous rhyme, something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue, the exhibition addresses issues relating to courtship and marriage beginning in the 1800s and continuing to present day, including Kentucky's role in the struggle for same-sex marriage. The exhibition sheds light on the multicultural origins of borrowed wedding traditions and shares traditions from around the world that have made their way to Kentucky. While all the dresses and other objects in the exhibition are from Kentucky brides and grooms, Something Bluegrass emphasizes the stories of traditions that originated in Kentucky and important couples and dressmakers from the Bluegrass State. Congratulations, and please come forward for the presentation and photo. Congratulations to all our project winners, and I will turn it over to Leah.
Pull that back down. Thank you, Tommy. Next, we will recognize publications with strong historical value, accurate research, appropriate sources, and effective distribution methods. The Publications Awards has 3 award categories: University Press, Local or Private Press, and Digital Media. I would like to introduce Dr. Stephanie Lang, editor of the Register of the Kentucky Historical Society, who will present the Publication Awards.
Hello, everyone, and congratulations. It's my honor to present the Publication Awards. And first up, we will start with the University Press category as we present Sonia Lee, American Bloodlines, Reckoning with Lynch Culture, that award. Sonia Lee in American Bloodlines discusses the last documented public execution in the United States in Owensboro, Kentucky. The story came to her through her family, and it was through her family that she reckons with its truths. Leah, who is descended from white Kentuckians on both sides, discovered that two of the spectators at the execution were her grandparents. Lee's research would divulge that she was related to the prosecuting attorney for the Commonwealth, the man considered most responsible for the hanging. American Bloodlines combines memoir with reportage and cultural criticism to interrogate and complicate the traditional narrative about how lynch culture is created in families, communities, and institutions. The essays in this collection grapple with our complicity in these atrocities, including the agreement in our silences, and demonstrate how we, as descendants, might take responsibility and bring new scrutiny to ancestral and communal crimes. So congratulations to Sonia. Unfortunately, she could not be here today, but I'm proud to recognize Teresa Collins from the University Press of Kentucky, who will accept the award on her behalf. For the local or private press category, we present Judy Green Baker for African American Lost History Project. Judy Green Baker compiled a 90-page booklet containing biographical information about direct ancestors, photos, social history, and oral history about Madison County's African American families. This project is a way to honor ancestors and to help educate Madison County students and residents about African American history. The booklet begins with military personnel, as Baker herself is a retired U.S. Army officer, thank you for your service, explores business owners, religious leaders, educators, and more. The booklet was introduced at the Friends of the Maple Grove Cemetery soiree in 2025, and copies have been distributed free of charge to all middle school and high schools in Madison County, the Berea and Richmond libraries, and many other community organizations. Congratulations. All right, digital media category. We present Jeff Hoagland's Discovering Lexington. Discovering Lexington is a multidisciplinary media project created in collaboration with the Lexington History Museum and supported by the Mayor's 250 Lex Commission. 250, something's going on this year, I guess. The project was designed to expand how local history is encountered, interpreted, and shared by using contemporary media in a narrative style to reach audiences otherwise overlooked. 3 original media works reframe Lexington's past through multiple lenses and voices. Move Along Lottie is an animated short film that celebrates and embodies the humanity, story, and impact of Charlotte Lottie Dupuy, an enslaved woman who in 1829 sued Henry Clay for her freedom. Less in the Room presents 10 micro-documentaries about music, jazz, and culture with the legacy of Lexington piano legend Les McCann hovering just out of frame. Benjamin's Victory is an original audio drama written by Michelle Tyrene Johnson that explores the life of R.C.O. Benjamin, a Black intellectual, lawyer, newspaper owner, poet, minister, and activist whose legacy and contributions to civil rights still resonate today. Discovering Lexington demonstrates how history can be reimagined through creativity, technology, and collaboration, and expands what historical interpretation can be and who it can reach. Congratulations. And last up for me, I am proud to present the winner of the 2025 Richard H. Collins Award. This is for Best Article last year in the Register. The Richard H. Collins Award is selected by a panel of historians and given to one author each preceding year for the most outstanding contribution to Kentucky history. And this year, we are proud to announce that Labor's Lost Cause, May Day 1886, and Fears of a New Civil War Between Labor and the National Guard by Shannon M. Smith is our winner. Shannon Smith is a professor of history at the College of St. Benedict and St. John's University in Minnesota. She holds a PhD from Indiana University and a master's degree from the University of Nevada in Reno. Her scholarship focuses on the Civil War and Reconstruction, African American history, the role of the militia in riots in the 19th century United States, particularly relating to issues of gender and citizenship. She has published articles in The American Historian, Civil War America, A Society and Cultural History, The Register, Freedoms Gained and Lost, Reconstruction and Its Meanings 150 Years Later, Teaching Emancipation and Reconstruction 1861 to 1877, as well as pieces for The Conversation. So she's been a bit busy. Unfortunately, she was not able to join us today, so it's my honor to accept that award on her behalf. Okay, and I'm going to turn this back over to Leah.
All right, thank you, Stephanie. Next, our service awards recognize individuals or organizations that have made outstanding contributions to Kentucky history through long-term commitment, volunteer work, or support of history-related organizations. First, I'd like to introduce Andrew Dixon, KHS Military History Consultant, who will present the Brigadier General William R. Buster Award.
Good morning. I can't express how excited I am to be presenting the Brigadier General William R. Buster Award today. The Buster Award honors an individual who has consistently shown support for military history and history projects in their community, region, or state, or participated in a military history project that has brought wide recognition to a facet of state or local history. I'm honored to present the Brigadier General William R. Buster Award to James Dewey Pope, Jr. Pope's significant contributions to Kentucky history include 3 documentaries on Kentucky's National Guard. The first, History of the Kentucky National Guard. The second, Baton, the Harrodsburg Tankers, A Time for Courage, A Time for Heroes. And third, Vietnam, Kentucky Thunder. Pope's documentary on the history of the Kentucky National Guard tells the story of the Guard from statehood to the global war on terror. The Harrodsburg Tankers documentary aired on KAT for over a decade and examined the story of the famous 38th Tank Company stationed in Harrodsburg, Kentucky, and called to active duty prior to World War II, where their defense against the Japanese attacks on the Philippines after Pearl Harbor and their time as prisoners of war and marching in the Bataan Death March in Japanese captivity. The Harrodsburg Tankers and Vietnam documentaries were both recognized nationally and received the Video Award, the AVA Digital Awards, and the Telly Awards. According to General Buster's daughter, Katie, 3 documentaries on the Kentucky National Guard is amazing. General Buster hails from Harrodsburg and would have loved them. Mr. Pope is the perfect recipient of this reward. Pope served as the director, producer, and editor of all 3 documentaries. His personal dedication to the quality, distribution, and access of Kentucky military history exemplifies the characters of the Brigadier General William R. Buster Award. Please join me in watching this video.
I've done many interviews and things over the years, but it does feel strange to be on this side, but I'm happy to be here, happy I'm still here, period. So I've always said about history, what we've learned in the past is our lifeline to the future. I was in the reserves, I was appointed to a warrant officer, and then came to the Guard. And then from there I moved to State Public Affairs, and then from there I moved to what we called back then the DUIM. There was a new position that came open, VI, Visual Information. And to my knowledge, I was the first one in Kentucky, and I think one of the first in the US. And one of the first video projects was one called The History of the Kentucky National Guard. I was living in Danville at the time. I go to church with a couple of guys. I was talking to them one Sunday morning. I told the one guy, I said, I'm in the National Guard. He said, well, I was in the National Guard. He said, I'm a Bataan survivor, and my jaw dropped. I mean, unbelievable. When I was in the 5th grade, I read a book about Bataan, and I never forgot it. It really stuck with me. Here was an actual survivor. I said, I'd like to do a documentary on that. I think it needs to be done. There's nothing that I know of that exists. That was my first documentary. And that went on to win, I think it was 4 national awards and 3 or 4 state awards. And then I knew about the Vietnam situation with the 2nd 138th, but retirement caught up with me, so I didn't get it done before I retired. So in 2009, I just said, I'm gonna do this on my own. So I started working on it. I made several trips to Bardstown, did 15 different interviews with all the survivors, and that is Vietnam Kentucky Thunder of the 2nd 138, and it went on to win a Telly, a videographer, which has changed now to the Video Awards. I donated it to the National Guard Memorial because I felt that was the right thing to do. And actually, before I retired, General Youngman had me do not really a documentary, but a short piece called Boots on the Ground. To my understanding now, I'm not for sure about this, but I think the first female to win a Silver Star since WW2. I'll be 80 this year, so if I've got any other projects, I gotta start moving. I would like to say I'm very, very proud of this, to have this in my name and these guys on the side, and I know just about every one of them is quite an honor. In 2007, I was the first Warrant Officer of the Year, and I was presented this at the National Guard Conference. I would say for any of the young soldiers out there right now that want to have a great career in the Guard, it's a fantastic organization, and I was very, very proud to be a part of it. Still proud to be a retired part of it. So.
First, I'd like to welcome you all here to Kentucky History Day, and I'm so proud to stand here representing the governing board of the Kentucky Historical Society. We met Tommy, and we have another board member here, Bobby Smith-Bryant, and all of us on the governing board are so proud of this staff of the Kentucky Historical Society. They make us very proud. They do the work, and we get some of the glory, but it goes to them. So I'm delighted to present the Kentucky Historical Society's Award of Distinction. It's bestowed upon an individual who has contributed significant time, energy to promote Kentucky's state or local history at the local, regional, state, or national level. I'd like to present the Award of Distinction today to LaDonna Latham. LaDonna is a charter member of the Hickman County Historical Society, organized in 1983. From the beginning, LaDonna has been an active volunteer. She has written and published 6 books on Hickman County history, the sale of which directly supports the Hickman County Historical Society. LaDonna has collected many local oral histories and has been the lead on the Young Historians Project for the past 11 years. For the Young Historians Project, LaDonna coordinates with local schools to teach historical research, writing, and public speaking skills to 7th grade students. For 3 months out of the year, LaDonna meets weekly with students and coordinates a classroom competition where students present their work. LaDonna's work with the Young Historians Project has led to a Lower Mississippi Delta Initiative Local Heritage Grant. We are pleased to present LaDonna with this award of distinction. Please join in watching this video.
In 1983, there was a group of us that were contacted by a man that was wanting to publish a history of Hickman County. There was a group of us that had been doing genealogy to begin with. So we all got together and we all decided that we would form the Historical and Genealogical Society. We did another book in '99 and we just did our 3rd edition this year. We're very proud of those. We have our records back to 1821. We were the mother county of all the counties around us. Fulton, Ballard, Carlisle, Graves, McCracken. If you want to go back that far, then you need to come to Hickman County to do your research. The hospital gave us one room that had one filing cabinet. That's the way we started out. In 2013, a windstorm came through and we saved 95% of the written records we had. This building was open, so we bought it from the insurance money, and we've been here ever since. We just accumulate as we go. We just finished our Young Historian program. This was our 10th year. We worked with the 7th grade, and then we have a banquet for them, and they present their papers. I enjoy working with the kids. It's kind of like my baby. We've been told we have more information here than most of the other historical societies around here. We are on the Trail of Tears, so we decided we wanted to do a book on the Indian ancestors. I don't know how many articles we got of people that knew that they had Indian ancestry or they had been told they had. And so we told them, just tell us the story. That's all we want. And so it has been really popular. First, I want to thank all my volunteers. I want to thank the fiscal court. We have several yearly donors, so we can keep going. There's just so many people that have helped us that I couldn't mention all of them. All you have to do is just put out the word that we need something, and there's somebody that'll come along and help us out, and that's what a community is for.
Donna, is Donna? Oh, there she is. I'm going to ask Scott to present the next award.
As I'm getting myself set here, One of the things we did several years ago was, we always found it challenging that we're talking about these great awards that are happening statewide, but they're somewhat out of context, right? That you don't get to see the exhibits or the publications or the places where the history happened. So we started, going out to the locations and doing these video pieces. Would you please join me in recognizing Greg Hardison, who went out and did all this video work? I think we all agree that I'm a visual learner, so I like to be able to see where this kind of thing happened. Well, I'm proud to present our next award, the Frank R. Lovestick Award for Professional Service. This award is named after a longtime employee at the Kentucky Department of Library and Archives. Mr. Lovestick was one who embodied professional service, and KHS is honored to give this annual award in his memory. This award is presented to a recently retired paid staff member of a history-related organization in Kentucky who has demonstrated exemplary work and dedication to their institution. Today, we are honored to present Mike Hudson with the Frank R. Lovestick Award for Professional Service. Mike was first introduced to Kentucky history through the Kentucky Junior Historical Society. I've heard that story a lot, and fell in love with history. Mike received his BA in history from Kentucky Wesleyan College and an MA in history from the University of Delaware. He began his career here at the Kentucky Historical Society in 1987 and later was the museum director at the American Printing House for the Blind. Mike returned to KHS recently. I've been trying for years and finally got him to come back as our chief curator, but retired in 2025 with over 20 years of experience and dedication to Kentucky history. Throughout these 2 decades, Mike has continuously shared passion, knowledge, and know-how with other professionals and the public. Yeah, so I'm going to go off script on me a little bit like you did. I can't recall the first time we met. I think it might have been at Shaker Village during the Kentucky Association of Museums conference. And I just remember, so it would have been relatively early in your career, early 90s, I think it was. I was actually trying to figure out how to get into the museum field. I was taking a fairly non-traditional route. Decided to start volunteering at the Museum of History and Science in Louisville. And ironically, one of the first projects they let me work on was a wedding dress exhibit that I now believe those dresses are on display at the Fraser History Museum. But I always remember getting Mike's perspective on things. He helped me through this, trying to understand what these things were doing. I just, giving his advice and perspective. But it was always centered how important our work can be and how doing the right thing. And ironically, I was talking with Mike before this, and man, he was right. Here's what you need to do here. This is what needs to happen. His attitude, I think we were all, for those who know Mike, his attitude is infectious. He's passionate about the work that we do. It infected me. It gave me confidence as a person trying to get into the museum profession, to not only strive to go back and do good work for my institution, but how do I encourage others to pursue that shared passion? I didn't know I would still be doing this work, and quite frankly, I don't know I would be the director of the Kentucky Historical Society if it wasn't for Mike Hudson. So please join me in watching this video.
I think anybody who knows me would say, I'm a collections guy. Yeah, I was a museum director, but really at heart I love going into little old ladies' homes and sitting down and having a cup of coffee with them and talking about their family and working with them to figure out what's the best path to preserve their family history. I remember getting into my mom's attic when I was a kid and going through all her boxes. She hated that, but I loved it. And I loved being in people's attics and in their basements and talking to them about their stories. That was part of who I am. It's just a gift, I think. Being part of the team that conceived, fundraised, designed, and brought to reality the Kentucky History Center is the thing that will have the longest term impact on Kentucky history. Every day that I got to get up and go to work and work with these amazing teams of people who were passionate about preserving history, whether it was at the Kentucky Historical Society or the American Printing House for the Blind. The challenges were all things that we brought upon ourselves by being ambitious about what we wanted to do. And I know that sounds cliche if you've been through SWAT, training for strategic planning, but if you dream big, you're going to create some headaches for yourself. Who remembers those? What you remember is that satisfied feeling when you and your teammates look at each other and you go, look what we did. It was great to go to work with a laugh, and it was also great to talk to other people who were miserable about their jobs and tell them what you did and you got paid to do it. I got paid to do this today. And so yeah, I never really thought of it as challenges so much as opportunities. I think the next generation is certainly presented with a lot of challenges, but I'm really excited about what they do. The decisions they make, what they decide about what stories are important, what stories need to be told. So I think my best advice would be, first, let people fly. Give them the tools they need to do the job, and then try your best to get out of their way and let them fly. There are all kinds of places that you can carve out your own identity and that you can do things that matter in terms of preserving Kentucky stories and Kentucky artifacts and Kentucky history. And the sky's the limit. Dream big.
Yeah, please join me in welcoming the Frank R. Lovestick Award winner, Mike Hudson, to the stage.
Yep. First, let me say thank you to Scott for allowing me to say a few words. I'm not very good at saying a few words, but I'm sure Greg is ready with the walk-up music if I stray too far. First, I want to thank my mom and my family. My mom had about 10 books on our shelf when I was a kid, but one of them was Johnny Osage by Janet Holt Giles. I don't know where she got it, but my mom always encouraged my love of learning, and my wife and son have also tolerated the late hours and having to hear about the roots of suburbanization and the pioneers of anesthesia and steam-powered Braille presses. But I've been incredibly lucky in both the places I've worked and the people I worked for. People like Jim Clotter, Nancy Glazer, Kathy Zwire, Nikki Hughes, Virginia Smith, Gary Mudd, Paul Schrader, and Jonathan Nofke. And I want to thank all those folks for their leadership, their mentorship, and mostly thanks for giving me room to do my thing. I was always amazed that somebody was willing to pay me good money for something that I would gladly do for free. And I want to thank all my teammates over the years, all those people that were still there at midnight getting that one thing right. I love you. If you were there, you know what I mean. I'm sorry about all the wood planes and the farm tools and the rusty things. And I'm really sorry for the 3, well, more like 7 pallets of stuff that's going to arrive Monday. And I know it's a federal holiday. I'm sorry. The portrait painter Chester Harding once asked Daniel Boone if he had ever been lost. No, said he, I can't say as I was ever lost, but I was bewildered once for 3 days. And folks, I want to tell you that sometimes these days, I feel a lot like that, bewildered. My life has been defined, shaped, transformed by the strong educational institutions we have here in Kentucky. When I was a kid, my mom took me to the Lexington Public Library, where in that wonderful temple of knowledge, the librarian helped me find all 3 of their books on Daniel Boone. And later they sent a truck all the way out to Hiker Shopping Center, where on a Thursday you could check out as many books as you wanted. And my history teachers at Bryan Station High School, Anita Sanford and Kitty Young, helped shape my growing curiosity. And then I discovered the Kentucky Junior Historical Society and their coordinators, Nancy Penny and Susan Lyons Hughes. And they took me on summer adventures to archaeological digs at Shakertown and a tour of the lock system on the Kentucky River from Beattyville to Carrollton. And I interviewed retired nurses at the Frontier Nursing Service in Leslie County. And when my college advisor at Wesleyan in Owensboro despaired that I would ever graduate, I met the incredible Dr. Lee Dew and Dr. Dan Bradshaw, who guided me to the University of Delaware, where I discovered that you could still work in history even if you didn't want to teach or write. And then I got hired here at KHS 3 times. And we built this history center, and we told amazing stories. And then I had the amazing luck to find the American Printing House for the Blind, American Printing House for the Blind in Louisville, the largest maker of educational products for people who are blind or low vision in the world, right here in Kentucky. And I fell in love all over again with their people and their wonderful machines and the human ingenuity that it requires to overcome disability. And yet, today, I am bewildered that these institutions that helped me so profoundly are under attack. Library funding is being cut at the federal level. Librarians are being told what books they can have on the shelves. Teachers are being told by politicians what subjects can be taught. And already underfunded agencies that help libraries and museums in our towns are being eliminated. Politicians are ordering museums to remove exhibits that do not comply with the politicians' political beliefs. Facts, folks. Facts, not opinions about our national journey, are being wiped away because the truth of our journey is messy. And some people don't like that. This is a great line. What in the name of Isaac Shelby and Madeline McDowell Breckenridge and Lyman T. Johnson is going on? And what are we going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Because we've got some work to do. A common experience for museum people is to sit down in a house with an older person and listen as they unwrap a family treasure and tell its story. It was made by my grandmother from flax she grew herself. Randy and I bought it on our honeymoon in St. Louis. My dad wore this on 25 missions over Italy. And after the tale is told, they turn that artifact over to you in your museum. It is a sacred trust. It is a promise. We folks have been given a precious gift. Kids, don't blow it. Thank you.
Sheila.
Don't know how to follow that. It doesn't need to be followed. Well said, well said. Now I'm going to present the Thomas D. Clark Award of Excellence. The Thomas D. Clark Award of Excellence is given to a local history-related organization that has raised the visibility and relevance of history within its community through programs, exhibitions, publications, and service. An organization who has presented balanced and varied programs and exhibits and publications throughout the year, that has based programs, exhibits, and publications on strong historical content and has been engaged with and supported by its local community. Today, I'd like to present the Thomas D. Clark Award of Excellence to the Keeneland Library. The Keeneland Library more than doubled its education and outreach services in 2025. For more than 185,000 patrons who engage with the library's exhibits and educational initiatives from every state and from 36 countries, and the 143 free local history education programs hosted in the library and community across the county. Keeneland Library has created a robust and accessible lineup of educational opportunities for patrons of all ages. We're going to cover just a few of these projects. In collaboration with 70 community organizations and 62 horse industry organizations, Keeneland Library curated and delivered free community local history education programs to thousands of youth and adults at K through 12 schools, and to universities, to public libraries, and community centers across Kentucky. Keeneland's library lecture series drew sold-out audiences from across the country, to learn more about the trailblazing women in Kentucky's horse industry during the late 1800s through the Civil Rights Movement. Keeneland Library also provided research, historical photographs, and interviewees for KET's documentary, The Legacy of Black Horsemen. The library also traveled the exhibit, The Heart of the Turf, Racing Black Pioneers, to 14 host sites across the nation. The exhibit was complemented with a companion book and education programs tailored to each hosting site. This is just a highlight of the many great projects Keeneland Library has completed over the past year. Congratulations to the Keeneland Library, and please join me in watching this video.
When Keeneland Association was founded in 1935, we have this kind of founding principles and a plan called the prospectus that those founders laid out, and that document resides here at the library. From the very beginning, you see some central tenets, a statement of commitment to preserving what has come before, to inform what comes next. There was also the mission and vision to become the state-of-art racing facility. Just 3 years after Keeneland started hosting racing in October of 1936, this library was founded. So the library is now in its 87th year. There are no other racetracks in the world that founded and have maintained and grown a library. A trustee of Keeneland at the time, Arnold Hanger, brokered what would become that original bolus of 2,700 volumes from an equine library up in New York. And the Keeneland Library moved beyond a concept, into reality for the first time. That initial collection has now expanded to more than 40,000 books, 25 million pages of newsprint, coverage of the sport in journals and magazines, dating from the 1700s to today, 2,000 plus, growing every day, linear feet of archival materials, and then our photographic collections alone exceed 5 million photographic prints and negatives that date from the earliest turf photography in the US to today. We take that responsibility very seriously of not just growing those collections, but preserving those collections over time, but preserving them in a way with usage in mind as well, because the goal isn't to continue to amass collections. The goal is to take an ever-growing body of resources and meet our users, our patron base, wherever they are, whether they live down the street or whether they're overseas. Most of what is in this building has been gifted to this library. So the Keeneland Library in the past 2 to 3 years has really just blown the record off of our own record set in prior years across our service lines with the types of research projects that we're working through each year, with the amount of people that we're working through each year. 70 to 100 community organizations and industry organizations we're now working with annually. We'll continue to grow that, and we will continue to fuel our community's demand for more vetted, good, relevant education outreach programming, and we can barely keep up with that demand. So we will do our best to continue to do that, though.
Do we have someone from the Keeneland? going to turn this back over to Scott for our final award.
Our final award is the Dr. James C. Clotter Lifetime Dedication to Kentucky History Award. It is given to an individual who has consistently shown support for history and history projects in their community, region, or state, and has brought wide recognition to a facet of state or local history through a special project. I am delighted to present the Dr. James C. Clotter Lifetime Dedication to Kentucky History Award to Judy Line. Judy exemplifies the spirit and intent of the Dr. James C. Clotter Lifetime Dedication to Kentucky History Award through more than 4 decades of sustained hands-on commitment to preserving, interpreting, and expanding access to Kentucky's historical record. As a founding member of the Logan County Genealogical Society in 1980, Judy has devoted her life's work to ensuring that Kentucky history, particularly the foundational records of Logan County, are preserved, accessible, and meaningful to researchers, institutions, and to the public. Congratulations.
I moved to Russellville in 1968 when I graduated at Murray, became a student teacher and then a teacher here, and been here ever since. You know, I just jumped in and did things what I thought needed to be done. The main thing that inspired me was staying home with 2 children. And it's like, let me out of here. I was tired of being home. And Ms. Vick over at the library, who was the daughter-in-law of the great historian here, asked me if I wanted to help organize her papers. And I'm not kidding, they were like written on bits of napkins. They were on the back of envelopes. They were very seldom on a sheet of paper. And I got to organizing those. I looked down and I thought, I need some help. So I just called everybody I knew that was doing anything in genealogy or anything in history. They all showed up to help on the papers. They knew the importance of them. It's been a great volunteer effort, not just me. They talked me into going to G. Sam Milam and say, hey, we need some money. Give us some money for an organization, which he did. And we got the Genealogical Society going, and we started working on the records and been here ever since. And we'll be here forevermore, I guess, because there's no end. They're still making court records, and we're still organizing them and still enjoying it. When they find out that Grandpa murdered somebody and was tried for murder, and they get real interested when they start finding their people. I'm very appreciative of the honor, did not even know about it. I'm very appreciative of everybody knowing that the work was good and did get done, almost done, never done. Now they're making more new records every day, so we just keep looking, keep building higher and higher. I don't know what we're going to do when we put the last box in here and there's no room for more.
Unfortunately, Judy's unable to join us today, but accepting the award is her son, Kevin. Well, this concludes our 2026 Kentucky History Awards. Congratulations to all of our winners, to the local history trust fund recipients, and thank you to all that you guys do to help us preserve and promote Kentucky's history. Again, this is all, one of my favorite days when we get to all come together. I hope you have a chance to kind of hang out and see a lot of the work. A lot of the work that's going on, both a lot of our community partners, and event partners down at the Old State Capitol and throughout the exhibits throughout the day are just like you, people we've been working with throughout the years to help promote and share Kentucky's history. I also want to again thank the Stuart Holman School for their support of this, and to the Kentucky Historical Society Foundation for helping to support all of our events. So great. We're activities run till about 5 o'clock today, so I hope to see you around. Thanks for coming. Oops, I think I was supposed to remind everybody, please, if you're an award winner, will you please come up and for a quick photo? And also after this event, I also want to remind you that KET, we're partner with KET to present part of the Ken Burns documentary in this room, so please join us for that as well.